This I'm pretty excited to talk to you about this. This strategy, well, it's really a mindset shift. This mindset shift is going to be a pretty big game changer for you. It's really going to level up your math score, whether we're talking about the SAT or the ACT or really any standardized test that has a math section in it. I mean, honestly, any math test in general, anytime you're doing math problems, this mindset shift is going to result in you getting more questions right. And that's why you're here, right? That's why you're watching a YouTube video about math, because you want to get more questions right. So, before I get into what exactly the mindset shift is, I want to talk about what I see as the problem a lot of students face when it comes to these tests like the SAT. I see a lack of patience going on. I see people not being willing to give themselves the space to truly figure something out when they didn't understand it before. So here's what we hope happens when we read a math question. We read the question, we think about it for a second, maybe another few seconds, maybe we reread a part of it, maybe, but we pretty much understand what's going on, and then we make a little plan in our heads. Oh, I see what they're asking for. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the height in the triangle, and then I'll use special right triangles to find that length, and then I'll use the area formula, and then whatever the problem is, you know, and then I'll get the answer. Good, I have that plan in my head. Now to begin the plan. And then it's like you compose a symphony in your head, and then you just hear the beautiful music or something, right? And hey, that is a nice, comfortable feeling, isn't it? But we can't really plan for that to be the experience for every math question on these tests, especially the harder ones. That is a fine experience to happen in the easy questions, maybe the medium questions. But for the questions that you're struggling with, for the questions that are holding you back from really dominating this test, that doesn't really happen, does it? And what I see going on is when people don't have that experience, when they don't have that admittedly comfortable, wonderful feeling of understanding how to do a question, and I know what to do, and oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, it's going to be great. When they don't have that feeling, what they assume is they have no idea how to do the question. I hear that a lot from my students. I'll notice one of their math questions is blank. And I'll say, hey, what happened here? And they'll tell me, oh, I had no idea how to do that one. And I'll ask, oh, really? Like what's this question about? And they'll say, oh, like, well, I mean, it's about circles. And then I'll say, okay, well, what do you think, what's like a circle thing that maybe is relevant here? And they said, well, maybe if we find the area. And I said, oh, that sounds like something worth trying. How about we do that? And they said, well, I was thinking about that, but I didn't know if it was right. Aha! So it isn't that you really have no idea, is it? It's not that you have no idea. It's that you had no confidence in your idea. Or really, not even no confidence. You weren't 100% confident that it was the right idea. That's how high of a bar you're setting, isn't it? If you're not 100% sure that you're going to be doing the right thing, that it's what you should do, you're not going to do anything at all. I know I'm not going to risk putting pencil to paper unless I know it's the right thing to do. You act as though using the pencil on the test booklet or on your scratch paper, you act as though that's like signing a contract in blood or something. Here's the mindset shift I want you to do. I want you to stop thinking about what you should do for these hard math questions that are stumping you, that are giving you trouble. Divorce yourself from the idea of what you should do or the right thing to do for a question. Get rid of this. What I instead want you to focus on is what you could do. That is the mindset shift. So this is the plan going forward. When you get to a math question that is stumping you, that is giving you trouble, that you're stuck on, that you have no idea how to do, here's the plan. The plan is to just look at what the question gives you. Look at the ingredients they give you and just ask yourself, well, what could I do with these ingredients? If I gave you a recipe of some food to make, a meal to make, but you didn't really understand the recipe, maybe parts of it were missing or something, but you could tell that eggs were involved, well, I bet you would come up with a couple pretty good guesses about what you would do with those eggs. My number one guess would be I'm probably going to crack them and put them in a bowl and, stir them with the, what is that? A whisk, right? It's all in the wrist, I think. Or maybe hard boil them. That sounds like a thing people do, right? I don't really know. I drink my eggs. But my point is, most of the time eggs are involved, it's going to be probably one of the basic things that happens to them. So why not get started with that? Let's see how this might apply to an actual problem. I guess this isn't an actual problem. It's all, as you can see, it's all squiggly. What I'm doing here is I'm simulating the experience of us having no idea what the question is asking. Right? I see this. Literally, there's no words here. I don't understand them. What's happening? They want me to do something. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the eggs that they gave us. I want you to look at the ingredients that they gave us in this question. And we're going to ask ourselves what we could do with those eggs. Well, they gave us the coordinates to a couple points. You know what coordinates are, right? You know what points are, right? Even though I have no idea what they're asking, I know that these are points. I know that that's an X and that's a Y. I know how points work. So now I ask myself, okay, what could I do with a couple of points? What do I usually do with a couple points? I've taken a bunch of these practice tests. What usually comes up when they give me this kind of information? Well, let's think about it. We could find the slope. We could find the distance. I guess we could find the midpoint. But you see how we're already running out of ideas of things we could do with these 2 points? So what that tells me is that chances are the correct first step is probably going to be one of those things. One of the only things we could do with the information they gave us. Right? I know it's uncomfortable. This is going to be a bit of a process to get used to this. I know that it's uncomfortable to try to do things that you're not quite sure if they're right. But that's how to actually figure out a math question. The plan can't be to just study everything in advance, drill and grind all of Khan Academy, and then I'll just understand every math question they show me. That's not going to happen. That might be some people's experience preparing for these tests. But if you're watching this video, you probably know by now that's not going to really happen for you. So you need to have a plan of what you're going to do when you do get stuck. And that's where this comes in. What could you do with the stuff? Again, I know it's uncomfortable. It was also uncomfortable the first time someone let go of your bike and you were on your bike by yourself. You know, it's so much more comfortable with the training wheels or with someone holding you there. But in order to get to the part where you're riding the bike by yourself, you need to do the part where you're wobbling around. And I'm sorry, you might crash. Maybe the thing you come up with to do ends up being wrong. That's okay. At that point, it's probably time to move on to the next question. We can't be spending all day here. I did a video about this, about how it's important not to be stubborn on a question. So if a question is just not happening for you, you do want to move on. But the way you determine if it's not happening is by actually trying stuff out on the page. We don't just stare at the problem and hope that it starts talking to us and explaining itself to us. We actually have to figure things out on the page. We don't just keep these concepts floating in our mind. That's another problem people have. They try to figure things out by just staring and thinking. You know what it says in the ACT math section at the top of the page? I love this about the ACT. In the math section on the ACT, on the left side of each page are the math problems. And you know what it says at the top of the page on the right side? It says, do your figuring here. I love that. Because that's where figuring happens, on the page. Not floating around your head in this ethereal, abstract way. So, I see a question like this. I see 2 points. I don't understand the question. I have no idea how to do it, but I know it has 2 points. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, 2 points. Let's just find the slope. So let's see here. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So let's see. We got 1 minus negative 2 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. 4 minus 3. Got a double negative there. So boop, boop. 1 plus 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay. So our slope is 3. So we're getting somewhere. At least we got the problem started. Right? We want to get some math done on the page. And now we ask, okay, well, I got the slope. What kind of stuff comes up with slope? Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have like opposite reciprocal slopes. Maybe, did they mention parallel or perpendicular here somewhere? Maybe that could help. One of the main things I know to do with slope is make an equation. In fact, anytime a line is involved, I talked about this in an earlier video. Anytime we have a line going on, I love to just write out y equals mx plus b and see if I can fill it in with all the information possible. And then just see where that leads. Because I know, based on doing a bunch of practice tests, that y equals mx plus b comes up a lot. So if it's a question about a line, well, there's a good chance that y equals mx plus b is involved. So even if I'm not sure it's the right thing to do, I know it's something I could do. So let's try it. And maybe this question mentioned a line, maybe it didn't, but let's face it. If they give us 2 points, they gave us a line, baby. So let's see here. I can write out y equals, instead of mx plus b, we now know the slope is 3x plus b. And to solve for b, I can just plug in one of these 2 points. So I'll just pick that one. 1 equals 3 times 4 plus b. It's going to be 1 equals 12 plus b. So that means b is going to be equal to negative 11. So now I can say that the equation of this line is y equals 3x minus 11. And I don't know what to do next. I mean, it would kind of depend on, you know, what else was going, what other words I could pick out of the question. Maybe the answer choices might help at this point. You can always look at the answer choices for clues to guide you. That's going to be another video I want to make. All the different ways their answer choices can't help but give us clues. But at least I got some math on the page. And maybe now, when I reread this question and I have the equations side by side, now I'm like, oh, actually, I can, whatever, you know? I don't know. I didn't actually write a question. I wrote, you know, a bunch of nonsense up there with 2 points. The point is, there's always something we can do. Almost never are you truly in the scenario where you have no idea what to do. You mean that you have no confidence in the ideas that you have. So reframe it that way. And don't allow your lack of confidence in your ideas to have the same result as having no idea.